If you were to point towards one car that started the electric car revolution, it'd be hard to choose between General Motors EV1 and the Tesla Roadster. Its stats look quaint now, but in 2008 when it was launched, it was nothing short of a transportation revolution. Electric cars were slow with limited range. This car could go over 200 miles on a charge and get to 60 miles an hour in under 4 seconds. Tesla had created the first practical and thrilling electric car, but it nearly drove the company into bankruptcy. This is the Tesla Roadster story. The story of the Roadster starts way back with General Motors' Sunracer in 1988. Before this, electric cars were slow, with snail-like acceleration that was measured in 0 to 30 times, as many couldn't even get to 60 miles an hour. With the Sunracer, GM developed a motor and drivetrain that handily beat the competition. They believed they could productize this technology into a real electric vehicle and developed the Impact prototype in 1990 that they tested with customers. Alan Cocconi was one of the Impact's designers, and he left GM to form AC Propulsion in 1992. He worked on developing an electric drivetrain that could be used by other car companies. AC Propulsion demonstrated that they could develop an EV that could get to 60 miles an hour in around 5 seconds, which was unheard of at that time. EVs up until then were known for being slow and full of compromises. AC Propulsion's innovative drivetrain would be used on the Volvo 3CC, Venturi Fetish, yes they really called it that, Courage's Zoop and the Wrightspeed X1. In the late 1990s, two Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, had just sold an electronic reader startup and were looking for a new challenge. Lithium-ion battery technology for devices such as laptops was advancing quickly, and they wondered if this technology could be combined with advanced EV powertrains from companies like AC Propulsion, who were still using lead-acid batteries. The two Silicon Valley entrepreneurs incorporated their company as Tesla Motors in 2003. They used computer simulation to determine the best type of car to make the best use of an electric powertrain and found a small sports car would work the best. By this time, GM's EV1 had been launched, and research showed EV1 owners had an average income of $200,000, and they loved their cars with a passion. With GM recalling and crushing all their leased EV1s, despite customer protests, an expensive but compelling electric sports car seemed like something that would sell. AC Propulsion developed their own car, the T0, and attempted to get funding themselves, with no success. As Tesla were using AC Propulsion's drivetrain, they borrowed the T0 to try to get funding for their own electric car. This was no mean feat. The last successful US car startup was Chrysler in 1925, and Tesla were based in Silicon Valley when people knew more about writing software than building cars. Detroit looked on with wry amusement. But Tesla realized that modern car companies don't make the whole car. They focus on final assembly and engine development, leaving component production up to a myriad of suppliers. Tesla decided to install AC Propulsion's electric drivetrain into an existing car. They would integrate the parts together and provide the battery smarts, getting the most out of an array of 18650 lithium-ion laptop batteries. The car would be sold directly to customers to save on dealership costs. The founders paid to retrofit AC Propulsion's T0 with lithium-ion batteries to test out their concept, but ran into a roadblock getting enough funding to take it to the next level. They heard that SpaceX founder Elon Musk was looking to invest in an electric car company. He invested $7.5 million into the company and was installed as Tesla Motors chairman. Elon brought on EV engineering wizard and eventual CTO J.B. Strobel, who developed his own electric Porsche in the 1990s. Elon continued to invest in the company, and the enthusiasm of such a high-profile investor encouraged others to fund the new car that was now codenamed Dark Star. By 2005, Tesla had a deal in place to use Lotus's Elise. Lotus agreed to supply 2,500 cars, so that would make up the entire production run for Dark Star. The team got to work understanding how the Elise's dashboard, pedals and other mechanical parts interacted so that they could integrate their innovative electric drivetrain and energy storage system. To provide space for all those batteries, 6,831 in the final design, the chassis was stretched by 5 inches. And it was quickly determined that putting a bunch of combustible batteries inside an aluminium chassis was a recipe for disaster. Having a celebrity go up in flames in an expensive Tesla wasn't likely to help sales. Tesla worked on ways to dissipate the heat and effectively cool the batteries to eliminate the chance of the batteries ever catching on fire. A test mule was built, but changes to the Lotus body needed to be made, and Elon was particularly vocal about this. The fiberglass body was switched to carbon fiber. The tiny Elise doors meant the driver and passenger had to sort of fall into the car, so these were made larger. Elon wanted high-end features such as sleek disappearing door handles. Dark Star was unveiled to the public in July 2006 as the Tesla Roadster in a splashy media event with celebrities like Arnold Schwarzenegger. CEO Martin Eberhard promised a range of 250 miles, 130 mph top speed and a 0 to 60 time around 4 seconds. The car would use a 2-speed gearbox to transfer the electric motor's power to the wheels and back again through regenerative braking, but demonstrations were carefully controlled as the cars needed to be swapped out or else they'd overheat. Elon promised a large 4-seat Tesla that would appear in 2009, but it would take until 2012 until the Model S entered production. Tesla promised the Roadster itself would arrive the following year. With prices promised between $80,000 and $120,000, the car was a hit and deposits started rolling in. By the end of 2006, the first of 10 engineering prototypes had been built, starting with the black EP1. 26 validation prototypes were made, but Tesla saved time and resources by using computer simulations to pass US safety regulations instead of crashing real cars. The original goal had been to add batteries to a Lotus Elise with AC Propulsion's drivetrain, but Tesla kept re-engineering different parts of the car, partly because of the necessity to get the car to work, partly through a desire to make the perfect car. By 2007, the car only shared 6% of the Lotus Elise's parts, and Tesla had done so much work to AC Propulsion's drivetrain that their version didn't even use any of AC Propulsion's patents. There were problems getting the 2-speed gearbox to work. The gearbox would be destroyed after a few hundred miles from the forces of shifting gears from the 14,000 RPM AC motor, and Tesla went through several companies trying to get a workable gearbox. Using just a single gear would kill their 0 to 60 time, making the car much less desirable. In the end, Tesla had to bite the bullet and accept a single-speed gearbox, meaning to get their sub-4 second 0 to 60 time, they had to shed a lot of weight from the car, costing the team time and money to rework. Multiple other production issues like painting the carbon fiber body, visible body gaps, and battery problems meant the release date would slip from 2007 to 2008. The company was burning through cash and getting further into debt. But production problems were just the start of Tesla's problems. With parts of the car being produced internationally, it took 6 months for the car to travel halfway around the world before it was ready to be sold. Due to management ineptitude, it was discovered that the $80,000 car Tesla had promised customers would cost up to $200,000 to make. CEO Martin Eberhard, who had started the company, had messed up and was demoted in August 2007. A short while later, both the co-founders had left the company, leaving new interim CEO Michael Marks to somehow try to make a profit from each car. The company became laser focused on costs, with team workers charged with drastically cutting the price of each of the car's parts. Elon Musk got the already tired employees working weekends to get the car out on time. With delays bringing the car to market and venture capital running out, the company was looking at bankruptcy if it couldn't deliver the car soon and make a profit. The Roadster's development was originally priced at around $25 million, but it had already cost over $140 million. New CEO Michael Marks wanted to prep Tesla for a takeover from an established car company. This was standard operating practice for a Silicon Valley startup, but Elon wanted Tesla to be independent despite its financial problems, and him and Marks crossed swords. It led to the CEO's eventual departure, and Elon took his place running Tesla. Production started in early 2008, and Elon took delivery of the first car in February. The car's price had increased to $100,000. Initial production was slow but steady and increased throughout the year. Reviews were generally good, with critics praising how much fun an electric car was to drive, while giving a practical 240 miles of range. In autumn 2008, the influential car show Top Gear tested the Roadster, and although they praised its acceleration, they critiqued the handling, especially compared to the Lotus Elise. They highlighted its battery life, with it doing just 55 miles when being thrashed around the test track. Tesla eventually sued Top Gear and lost, but the upshot was that any publicity is good publicity, and it helped to bring the car to the public's eye. Despite raising $187 million, $70 million of it alone from Elon Musk, the company's finances were in the toilet. And getting new capital was tough with the 2009 Great Recession, especially when existing car companies were going bankrupt. They got an additional $50 million from Mercedes, who took a 10% stake in the company, but it was the 2009 $465 million Department of Energy loan that kept them afloat. Similar loans were given to other car companies such as Ford and Nissan at the same time, but Tesla was the first to pay their loan back in full in 2013. Their financial problems were further eased the following year when the company went public, the first US car company to do so since Ford in 1956, producing a large influx of capital from investors. The Roadster got an update at the end of 2009. The interior was improved with better heating and air conditioning, plus a centrally mounted screen for the first time, showing real-time car data. This foreshadowed Tesla's increasing reliance on the center touchscreen for future models. The suspension was adjustable, the motor improved, producing 288 horsepower up from 248, and the car had better soundproofing. Tesla offered an open top for the first time as the Roadster Sport, with an improved 0 to 60 time of just 3.7 seconds. To help promote the car and show how practical an electric car could be, Tesla sent the Roadster on a round-the-world trip in 2010, starting in Geneva in March and ending in Paris in September. And in keeping with this global trip, the first right-hand drive Roadsters appeared, selling for £86,950 in the UK. When Tesla started producing the Roadster, they got an exemption from installing a two-stage airbag from the US safety authorities until the end of 2011. So as that date approached, and as they closed on the maximum 2,500 cars they could make, Tesla's marketing switched to sales outside the USA. By January 2012, the 2,500 Lotus bodies had run out, and Tesla was switching its focus to the Model S that would begin deliveries in June that same year. 2,450 Tesla Roadsters were delivered to customers, over double the number of EV1s GM produced. For Tesla, the Roadster project was a massive learning experience, as well as a near-death experience, but it would take these lessons and apply them to future cars. Although Tesla moved on to produce other cars, in 2016 they offered an 80 kilowatt-hour upgrade to give the car a longer range, and in 2017 Tesla announced a new Roadster set for a 2020 release. The new car would use a shortened Model S chassis and would have a 1.9 second 0 to 60 time with a 620 mile range. But the original Roadster story wasn't over yet. Elon still owned the first car Tesla ever produced, Roadster No. 1, and SpaceX were looking for a test cargo for the first launch of their new Falcon 9 Heavy. SpaceX had a history of putting fun ballast on new spacecraft and sent a large cheese wheel in the first Dragon capsule launched, a reference to Monty Python's Cheese Shop sketch, and I'm sure that they probably were the only people who got that joke. After asking around for suggestions, Elon decided that he would launch his Roadster. The car was launched in February 2018 with a tiny Roadster model on the dashboard and a mannequin dressed in a spacesuit dubbed Starman. I'm sure the Lotus workers building this car in Norfolk in the mid-2000s didn't think their work would not only go into space, but would leave Earth's orbit and head out towards Mars. As the car sent back live pictures from space, it could be seen as a fitting tribute to the car that started it all for Tesla. A big thank you to all my patrons for supporting me. To get early advert-free access to new videos or to appear in the credits, please consider supporting me using the Patreon link below from just $1 or 80p a month. And hit that subscribe button to get notified of new videos. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.